Hello, and welcome to the October episode of Here's the Stitch. Doing things a little differently this month. I am going to be doing the first two segments here, and then the third segment is going to be Dax stepping in to tell you a little bit about some of the new colors that they have been developing, specifically the three jewel tone colors that they designed for the Lattice and Latte shawl that launched recently. So Dax has also got several new colorways coming out in the next few months that I think you're going to really enjoy. So I hope you enjoy getting to know Dax a little bit. I am short on time, so we are going to move through my knitting projects very, very quickly here. And that'll be easy because there's only two. And then in the second segment, we're going to talk about my very, very unrealistic plans for fall knitting. So, yeah, unrealistic is how I'm going to preface that entire conversation. So first up, I do have a finished object. I will get some photos of this tomorrow. And this is my wool and honey. This is out of the fingering weight version of Latta that we are calling Latta Light. We have decided that this is not going to be a product that we actually launch. There's just no reason to, is the short answer. It knits so similarly to our sport weight version of Latta that we love. There's no reason to do a fingering weight version. So this one, the fingering weight version also does add a unexpected challenge to the dye process. It's a lot more delicate in the dyeing process to the point where we've actually felted a couple of dye lots of it that are thrown over here in the corner that the kittens have claimed as a bed. So I need to fully felt those skeins. They're not skeins, they're dye lots. Fully felt those dye lots and turn it into like a little cat sleeping mat because they are in love. It also happens to be red and orange, which will look fantastic in the living room upstairs. So this is my wool and honey sweater. I have chatted about it before. I did several modifications. I didn't do the neckline. I didn't do the collar. I didn't do the short rows. I do wish I had short rows. I knit the second size until I got to the stitch count of the smallest size. And then I separated for the sleeves early. And I added bust darts, which I think look fantastic. I added 3 inches of bust darts, and I think 2 inches would be fine. It looks fine, but I know I can get away with less. What else about it? I will have this with me at Do You Knit. Like I said, we will not be launching Latta Light as a full product line. We will have it for our trip to New Jersey this weekend. And then anything after that, we will put on the website. And then when it's gone, it's gone. So there's not a ton of it, but there's enough for our trunk show at Do You Knit for their anniversary party. And there'll be a little bit left, I'm sure. So yeah, that is my one finished object. I have 2 works in progress. The first one is something you guys have seen. You haven't seen the project, but it's something you guys have seen. So I am using a super skein of Scarlet, just for scale. This is how big a super skein is. And then, benefits of being the dyer, we've got some scraps of white kicking around. Actually, you can see it here. I think you can see it here. Maybe not. I can see it in person. So the larger ball here they're both undyed, they're both magnolia, but the skein on the right has been washed. The skein on the left has not. So it's still got a little hint of the yellow from the spinning wheel. I don't think you can really see it on camera. But yeah, so we always wash the white before we send it to you, if that's what you order. So yeah, working on using some scraps of this, and I have started my Rhinebeck sweater. This is the Flock Friends tee by Andrea Cull of Neutrino. And I've done my first little repeat of my sheepies. I have done what I've been doing a lot recently is I've just been casting on, long tail cast on, and then I'm going to come back and pick up for the ribbing for the neckline. Personal preference. I like getting into the sweater and not dealing with the ribbing. So you can see that I have done one sheepy repeat, and I started on the second sheepy repeat, and you're not going to be able to tell this, but it's wrong, or maybe you can. It's wrong. So I need to rip out 2 rows of knitting. So I will probably do that during knit night tonight, which in real land is now. In your land was probably like 4 days ago. So yes, that's my Neutrino sheepy sweater. I want to have that done for India Untangled. And then the second thing I am working on is actually using a yarn you haven't seen. So this is also magnolia. This is completely undyed. This has not been washed. At least I don't think it is. I think Dax just took it out of the bag for me. Again, if you order it, we wash it. And so this is what we're calling Chantilly. It is a DK weight fluff. It is 90% baby Surrey alpaca and 10% silk. You can see it's nice and fluffy and fun. And this is a new product that will be available on our website on Friday. So yeah, we are launching Chantilly. Super excited about that. It's a beautiful, squishy, colorful, squishy, lovely, soft fluff. And we're going to be launching it in 12 colors. So this will be a unit this weekend. And then, like I said, available on our website starting Friday, September 12th. For samples for this, I wanted to do a sample that is a pattern everybody has seen a bazillion times, but in a very unique yarn. So I decided to cast on the Pressed Flowers shawl. So this is a skein of the Magnolia, Chantilly, and then a skein of Lottie. And I think it's a beautiful example of how Lottie knits up and how it just progresses through the colors. This is the skein I'm working from. So it doesn't have a lot of the dark teal, like several of the skeins do, which is actually kind of good. We got a new batch of Lottie in this week, and it's much lighter this third time around. So super excited about this. I am in love. Like, can't wait to wear it. So this will be what I bring to Do You Knit this weekend to knit on and work on, with the goal of having it done by DFW, because those of you joining us for DFW, we will have Chantilly there. So that is it for my current works in progress. So I'm going to hop off. I'm going to go do our virtual knit night, and then I will be back to talk to you about some of my, like I said, very, very unrealistic fall knitting plans. Okay, let's talk about my fall fever dreams here. I don't know what has come over me, but I am completely delusional in thinking that I am going to finish even a quarter of these projects. But I've got some fun things to show, and hopefully it will bring you some inspiration as well. All right, so projects. The first thing I want to finish is the pressed flower shawl. I think I talked about this in the previous part. I would really like to have this done for DFW. I know it's a long stretch, but I do have the entire drive to DFW to work on this. Brian will likely drive most of the way. But yes, these shawls obviously get longer and longer every row. And I am working on my 6th set of flowers, and you have 11 sets of flowers before you start on the border chart. So yes, I would really like to get this done for DFW. At least get it to a place where it is even more tempting for selling some of these pressed flowers kits. The second thing I would like to finish is my Rhinebeck sweater. I would really like to wear this Friday at Indie Untangled. Yeah. Allison and Andrea will be there, and yeah, I would really like to wear my Rhinebeck sweater at Rhinebeck. So that's the first two. The third project is actually, I haven't even wound it up. This is, so last year, Jamie from Pacific Knit Co. put out a doodle sweater pattern for Christmas, and I absolutely loved it. I have always wanted to make myself a Christmas sweater and have never even gotten past wanting to. So my friend Holly and I decided that we very much wanted to do the doodle sweater. Holly's birthday is after Christmas, so for Holly's birthday I dyed her up a doodle kit. Happened to make one myself. Actually, I didn't dye it up, Dax did. But yeah, these are, some of them are standard Lada colors. So this is Scarlet. This is Teal Feather. This is actually not a standard color. This is what we refer to as Cactus. We did a kit for Knit Stars with Vincent several years ago, and this is actually the color that was in that kit. And then this is Unicorns of the Sea, one of our typical superwash colors that we put on Lada. And then Blowing Rock was just a little too dark, so I actually had Dax work up Sidewalk, so it's just a little bit lighter. And yeah, so the plan was for Holly and I to start a doodle sweater and slowly work on it over the course of the year, so it felt a little less intimidating. And about July, we decided we should probably cast these on. So we decided that we would cast on together Labor Day weekend. Here it is, 3 weeks past Labor Day weekend. And there's my doodle sweater. So after the Rhinebeck sweater would be this. I think those 3 things are possible. I think I can handle finishing pressed flowers, doing the neutrino sweater, and doing the doodle sweater. I do have a long trip in November, and the doodle sweater could certainly go on that trip with us. Especially if I don't do the color work all over. If I do just get into kind of the body, that would be feasible. All right, and then there's two other projects. The first one is a project that has actually been on the needles for almost 2 years. Yeah, I think almost 2 years. So I am working on, and now, like, I'm super sad that I am this far along on this project in the way that I'm doing it now that we have Chantilly, which is the yarn that should be used for this project. So this is the Instant Crush by Hohu Locatelli. It is not typical Latta colors because it is actually done on, it is done on Bernice. It's actually done on Bernice, and I've been holding it double. So you can kind of see it on the barber quartz there. So I'm holding it double. So it's slate, golden rule, berry stomp, and sidewalk. And the body is done. And actually, I think the body was done when I put it down 2 years ago. My hang up was the sleeves and how to do the sleeves in the round with color work. But I think my decision was to do two circulars. So yeah, all I have left is a little bit of a sleeve. So half a sleeve-ish and then a full sleeve. And honestly, if I finish this, this would be really, really nice for the beginning of our trip in November. We'll see. But yes, definitely want to finish this. So pressed flowers, Rhinebeck sweater, Christmas doodle, then this. Maybe this moves ahead of the Christmas doodle so I can get done to go on our trip in November. I don't know. Currently can't see past pressed flowers and my Rhinebeck sweater. I do also think the Rhinebeck sweater will go fast because it's just color work at the yoke and then straight red yarn. And I do have a lot of driving time for coming back from DFW. All right, and then last, but certainly not least, is yarn that I, again, had Dax do for me. So back in February, we did a Valentine's Day kit, and in it had a very pale color in it that we called Promenade. And what was so cool about Promenade was it would work up kind of pink, also very neutral, kind of white, or if you put it next to the right color, it would go a little bit purple, which is what it did in the kits that we made, the lover kits that we made. And I have two gorgeous skeins of Ghost Ranch and 3 skeins of, I think I have all 4 to be honest. Yeah, I have 4 skeins of Promenade. This is going to end up being a permanent color for Lada starting next year. We've renamed it Tidewater Pearl, and I think it's just going to be absolutely gorgeous. So maybe this waits until New Year when we launch that. I don't know. But that's going to be a newy gooey. I had big dreams of knitting 2 Rhinebeck sweaters this year, but it's just not going to be feasible. So we'll see how it goes. Still definitely want that sweater though, for sure. I think it is absolutely beautiful. But I do have new sweaters for Rhinebeck. I have my wool and honey here. We had a sample maker make lento out of teal feather, which I love. It's sitting on the table back there. Yeah, and then my Flock Friends sweater. So those are my completely over the top, completely delusional, likely to only get, if I'm lucky, 3 of them done. So, yeah, those are my fall knitting plans. So thank you for joining me today. The 3rd segment will be with Dax, and I hope you guys have a great month, and we will talk soon. Bye.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for checking this video out. We really appreciate it. I'm Dax, the studio assistant here at Queen City Yarn. I've been with Queen City for about, it's going to be 2 years coming up, so it's very exciting. Today I'm here because Janis asked me to have a little conversation with you guys about colors. Specifically, some colors we developed recently in combination with Ashley Wemby for this lovely lattice and latte shawl. It's a mosaic print shawl that we, like I said, collabed with Ashley on, and we really love how it turned out. And so we wanted to give you a little insight, a little backstage sort of tour of the design process on how we go about doing something. So the first thing starts off when we are wanting to design some new colors is the inspiration. And believe it or not, the inspiration happens a lot earlier than you might imagine. I think we had most of this year planned out pretty far in advance, probably like a year before. Just kind of like vague stuff, what we wanted to capture. Usually it might be like a seasonal thing or like what might be popular around that time. And for us, fall and the beginnings of a new season, we really love seeing all of the jewel tones that come about. And so jewel tones became that kind of inspiration starting point. And so we took that and we ran with it. Janis gave me some free reign in the dye studio, which I always appreciate and enjoy. And we kind of already had, we can start with this color, we kind of already had this like bluish green color that we're calling agate here in mind. That was like, we wanted like an emerald sort of like tealy color. We know it's very popular and it's very fun to incorporate with other colors. And so that's kind of where that started. And then we thought about other jewel tones that we might want to include. And purples and pinks are always really, really popular. And so then we got Beryl, this really pretty like purple color. I really enjoyed it. Some of our or our current colors inspired it. Think like gooseberry and port. I wanted something kind of reminiscent of that, but almost with this deeper, like jeweled look to it. Like you might think of like a gemstone when you look at it. That's kind of where all of these got their inspo. And then we have Spinel, which was the last color I developed. This like very pretty pink color. Again, getting inspired by other jewels and gemstones. And the actual process of developing these colors is pretty. I mean, we develop recipes, so it's very specific, very specific measurements and attention to detail. And when it comes to mixing colors, it's very much a science, which I really enjoy. A lot of my past is baking experience and coffee making. And oh, hello, baby. And that really comes in handy when mixing dyes because dyes need to be portioned out very specifically. And so, step one in the dye making process is you get your inspo for your colors, which are these beautiful jewel tones. And once we knew kind of which colors we wanted, a pinky, a greenish blue, and a purple, we then go to our current recipe books because we have a lot of recipes. Some of them we use in our current catalog, and some of them are just kind of waiting in the wings. And so we kind of go through those, and we've kept samples of ones that we've tried before, and those kind of go, and we'll mix those together and dye them up and see if that is where we want it to be at. And if that isn't quite what we want, then we adjust from there. So things get like the number get adjusted, like how much of a certain color we add or subtract from the base color. And then once we got that ratio perfect and where we want it, we increase the amount in order to know that it's going to be, because all of our recipes are based off of 400 grams of yarn. And so we increase that to the 400 gram recipe and make sure that at 400 grams, it looks the exact same as it did at 25 grams. 25 grams is usually where we start for the small ones that will dye up first. And once that increase is there and it is the exact same from the smallest amount to the largest amount that we're going to use, then we go from there to finalizing everything. So it is more paperwork than you would imagine. It's a lot of planning, which thankfully we have Janis, who is brilliant at that. And then we have very patient kind of adjusting of recipes like you almost would in baking. And then once the colors are decided, we have already kind of been talking with our designer usually and letting them know like, hey, this is what we're thinking for colors. Especially once we know like, oh yeah, I want a pink and a green and a purple. And then we kind of explain like, okay, this is what I'm thinking for design. With Ashley, we were emailing back and forth, and it was a lot of communication there on, what is something like she might be interested in doing, something that she maybe has been wanting to try for a while. And this mosaic sort of patterning was something that she mentioned, and we really enjoyed that, and we really that really captured our attention. And so we then went from, okay, well, if we want to do this mosaic design, what's the shape? What other techniques are we going to be using in it? And not a lot of that language, I'm I'm not a knitter, but thankfully, again, we have Janis, who is quite proficient in her field. And so, her and Ashley talk about a lot of that technical language on what exactly they want, as far as like the lace detailing and the finishing and stuff. And then once we get that all solidified, we then send off our colors, dyed up colors. For this, it ended up being 3 petites, and then we ended up using our beautiful undyed white Lada as the base. And so we sent off 2 skeins of the undyed white Lada to her as well, and she kept in touch with us and let us know exactly how things were going and where she was at. And it's always fun to collab with people. It's always fun to see what they come up with. I especially enjoy it because, again, I'm not a knitter, but I do love seeing the process in which people go through in order to knit and to get this, take something from yarn to this absolutely like beautiful piece of clothing that you can now wear and show off. So yeah, it's a very fun and enjoyable process to developing colors. It's definitely one of my favorite parts of my job. And I hope to do more in the future.